This episode is sponsored by Rocket Money.
Hey, Nikki.
Oh, you wanted me to respond?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember when you had a newspaper subscription for like 4 years?
Yes, I didn't know.
And we didn't know, and we were paying like $30 a month for
$40 a month. $40 a month. I never even read this one time in like 3 years.
Thanks to Rocket Money, we now know about that, and we were able to easily cancel it.
I could not believe that.
Yeah.
Do you know how much your subscriptions cost? Because most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, where the actual total is closer to $200 a month that you don't even use these subscriptions. Oh, we're so easily manipulated
We're so
into
gullible.
these business models. Well, Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place.
Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/STDTY.
That's rocketmoney.com/STDTY. Hello, welcome back to Shit They Don't Tell You. I'm Nikki Limo, and this is my partner in marriage, Stephen Green.
We're in a gay relationship?
No, you could be a partner and be straight.
Like we're cops?
Yeah.
All right, I like that. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like a buddy cop movie.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. And I'm like the anal one, and you're the goofy one.
Can you be the anal one?
Yeah.
You should be.
I love anal.
Do you?
No, I don't.
I know.
But I'm the one that gives it then.
It's a real sticking point for me.
Sticking point.
That's not what I meant.
That's funny.
I don't like it.
Oh, that's true. You're not, it would never be funny.
No.
Anyway, can I continue with my topic, or are you going to be anal about this intro?
Have at it.
Okay, so as I have said in previous episodes, we were going to do an episode about the beginning of our relationship and whether or not we would have told ourselves to break up had we submitted back then. Let's say like we wrote into the show and we're like, hey, this is going on. Like, should we break up? Would we have hit the breakup button?
Right.
And I wanted to delve into that because...
Probably.
Yeah, because probably. Like, if we're going to give people advice, like, I think it's because it comes from a place of being able to relate, and you can kind of distinguish which one's kind of going to make it and not, and like which one's going to be a waste of time.
Correct.
So just to kind of paint some context, paint the picture a little bit, Steve and I, we've talked a lot about this on previous episodes. Like, our first year of our relationship was really rocky. It was like not a dream. Like, a lot of people
It was also great.
Like, oh, we're in the honeymoon phase. Like, a lot of people, when they first get together, like in a honeymoon phase, and then like down the road they get married and they're like, oh yeah, it wasn't like how it was in the beginning. You know, ours was the opposite.
It was, but it was also great.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if it wasn't for the great parts, we would have been fucked.
Yeah. Well,
right?
what great parts were your favorite back then?
Any time that you and me were just hanging with each other, like when I didn't have to sit in traffic.
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, you were a very angry man.
It'd make me very grumpy.
Very angry man.
Coming from Maker Studios to see you was like the worst thing of all time.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, dude, I've never seen someone so pissed when they pick me up for a date before.
Yeah. I mean, I just had to like settle into it. And then I was fine.
Like,
once I settled in, I was fine.
I don't know. I mask the fuck up. Like, if I'm in a bad mood, but like I'm on a date and I'm trying to put my best foot forward, like you will not know that I'm in a pissed off mood.
And I am who I am.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I can do about
like,
it.
Dude, this bro is like so mad to be on this date.
Yeah, but I wasn't. And then I was fine. Like you said, like 25 minutes in, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, picking you up, I'm just getting out of traffic and like fucking A. LA is just brutal.
Yeah, it is. And then parking around my neighborhood's
it's just a really fucking nightmare.
Yeah.
And like she has it easy. Like I'm coming to her. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it should have been the other way around. I'm comfortable with that. But then like sometimes her street's so packed it takes me 45 minutes to park.
But that wasn't
after sitting in traffic for an hour.
That wasn't anything we fought about at all. Like
never.
I honestly was
never
just
punished
like,
her for it.
No, and I was like just observing. I'm like, I would say like out loud, like, you're really angry when you pick me up. You're really like mad.
Yep. I'd be driving around.
He's like, I fucking hate traffic. He just really hates traffic.
I'll park like 4.5 blocks away. And then it's a little bit dicey getting to Nikki's place.
Okay, so say you're writing the show. What's all the stuff that's like, okay, I really like this person because.
Oh, I mean, like we were fucking nonstop, right?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
And like,
But you could do that with anybody.
not with anybody.
I would do it with literally anybody.
I know you would, but I can't. No, I mean, it was, we had a passionate time.
Yeah.
And I was like genuinely in love with you. Like from the moment that we got together.
We all know that like people can have sex and not, doesn't mean they're going to make it. Like, so it's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're,
I was like in.
Well, we from the beginning, like the third time we had sex, we both were like, this was like making love.
Yeah,
like we've never experienced
100%.
the making love. Like I always thought that was just a corny way of saying you fuck somebody.
Yeah.
But like it literally, it was, there's no other way to describe it. Like it was love.
Yeah. And it was like the most romantic thing of all time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was just the most romantic.
Yeah.
It was not like, it wasn't like all horny. Like
No.
it was, I mean, like obviously the chemistry was there, but it was
The chemistry was so there, it was insane.
Connected.
Yeah, but
it was like our souls connected.
This was like almost like you're doing an improv scene and you're heightening it. It's like the chemistry's there, but then you're heightening it, and like that's when
neither of us had experienced that before. So
never.
There was that, and
it wasn't something we went into it like let's make love.
No,
it just happened.
No,
right?
not at all. In fact, like we are really romantic people, I would say, but like I don't think our sex, like what turns us on is kind of more rough. Like it's not it's not really like that romantic type of sex.
That's a fact.
Yeah. So for that to happen very organically was just a very first time experience.
Yes.
I also feel like, we were friends for 3 years, so I got to get to know each other's like personalities. Like I already knew that he was like funny and like very gentlemanly. I think that it was like really the first time that I'd been treated in a way where someone was like really courting me. I mean, I had gone on some dates and like some guys said they were courting me, but this was like you were.
Actions are bigger than words, motherfucker.
Yeah, I really just felt like.
A lot of guys like to say that shit, but they don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they would take me out to dinner, so it was true. They were like technically courting me, but like you were, like you. I felt like every time we went out to dinner, it wasn't just for the sake of like you're taking me on a date because you have to do the action, the steps, going through the motions. I genuinely felt like we got to know each other on a really deep level each and every date. Like our first date was like crazy.
Yes.
It was very
storybook.
Like just we
Fairy
clicked.
tale.
We just couldn't stop talking. It was like every time we talked about a new subject, I felt more and more connected. Like this is the person I'm meant to be with. So there was this underlying like almost like a knowing like I'm supposed to be with this person. But then we started fighting a lot.
Yeah.
Like arguing a lot.
Well, there was a lot of built up resentment from previous relationships that we were taking on each other, and we didn't really know how to identify that at the time.
Yeah. So we just
kept on slaying each other.
Yeah, and like kind of paintbrushing like, oh, I thought you were like this, but you're actually like this.
Yeah. Being mad, push away.
And then that's how resentment builds.
Yeah, of course.
And so this is what happens in a lot of relationships. I feel like, you fight, resentment builds, even when you make up, like you have makeup sex or whatever, but you don't forget. And then so the next time you fight, you're still like, it's adding on to the previous one, the previous thing. And you're like, okay, well, this is another one. And now you start like developing almost like a tab of all the shit that they have pissed you off with.
Yep.
And every time you get into a new argument, you just remember all the other shit that pissed you off.
It just builds and builds, yeah.
And then you just start
using arguments as excuses to like destroy each other.
Yeah, and you feel like, fuck this guy. I don't need this guy.
Yeah.
My life.
For sure.
Yeah. So.
But like let's talk about like if I was to write into the show.
Yeah.
And like what am I gonna say exactly? Like I'm gonna say like, okay, I'm with this chick.
Yeah.
And everything's amazing.
Amazing, yeah.
But like sometimes, she'll say something, or really, it's not even just like what you were saying. It was just like, I will look for a reason why this is bad. Mm-hmm. That was what I was doing.
I felt like you said hurtful things.
But exactly. Yeah. I was trying to push you away from me.
Yeah.
Like, because I was like, I want to look for reasons why this is bad. Mm-hmm. And so I will hurt you to prove that this is bad. And see, you don't want to be with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, subconsciously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, I have a fucking 100-mile view on this thing now, but when you're in it, it's just a completely different story.
Well, when you're in, and when you're used to relationships operating like that, you're just like, all right, I've been prepared for this. I practiced already. I already know. I know this game.
And that's how it was for me too. And in my previous relationship, like I remember thinking like, okay, well, relationships are sacrifice, like all the memes that everyone says, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I remember forcing myself to, like, you know, because she was really into this fucking show called Skins.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, all right, that's her show. So let's watch the show with her. And I couldn't fucking handle it. Mm-hmm. Like, I might as well just watch Nickelodeon. I can be like 12 years old again. And like, I'm like, this show completely fucking sucks. But to her, it's like this profound fucking masterpiece show. And like speaking to her and her age. And I'm 5 years older than her. And I'm like, I don't care about this shit. You don't get it. It sucks. I don't want to watch this shit. I'd rather like honestly just stare at a dot on the wall.
So did you feel like you have to do that in order to
connect,
maintain the relationship?
100%.
Okay. So when we got together and I didn't want to watch your show, did you feel like that was a diss then?
No, honestly. Well, okay. So over time, I actually was maybe overly sensitive about that stuff. And so I didn't really want to share too much of my stuff with you.
Yeah.
And get rejected. Mm-hmm. But like you and me had a real great commonplace like in the beginning where like we both love sketch comedy.
Yeah.
So we're just sharing sketch comedy with each other and just laughing our asses off to that stuff. And that was already like way better than anything I had before, before that, right? So then I was like, man, this is fucking great. This is like fun. And like, you know, then I would say it took a couple of years for me to show you like my favorite movie, like Heat, for example. Like,
no, you showed me in the first year, but you fell asleep.
Well, you didn't get to watch it till like a couple of years.
Yeah.
But still, like, that was something that was like cool, but like it's not like I need you to like Heat. It's just I want to share a part of myself with you.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like, who cares? It's a fucking 2-hour movie you watch on a night, like with me.
It took a long time for you to watch 8 Mile.
Yeah, but exactly. But exactly. And I just think that we both had a killer time anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't even, it's like a je ne sais quoi, or like, I don't know how we knew, like
even on New Year's, remember we watched South Park every New Year's?
Yeah.
And like nobody's
the
bummed.
First year we watched Blackfish and that was a bad choice.
That was a very bad choice.
We were really sad.
But we both agreed that was a bad choice.
We agreed on it.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. That's what I kind of wanted to get to is like we don't need to formulate what the letter would have sounded like if we wrote in, but I wanted to know 2 things. 1, what makes you want to work this out with this person? And 2, what violations have they done? Like what were their crimes? What did they do?
Crimes were not.
What did they do wrong?
Not big enough crimes to fit the punishment.
Because that's I think how we gauge whether or not to hit the breakup button. And here's what I would say if we were narrowing it down to like, what are the ones that we would not hit the breakup button with and why?
Okay.
I think that it has to be someone who you connect with on a chemistry level.
Yes. 100%.
For sure.
100%.
Like that is just something that
here we are a decade into this thing.
And we're still very much into each other.
Our chemistry is off the charts.
Like super, like, and when I'm not just talking about sex, I'm talking about like just now we finish each other's sentences because it's just, it's there. Like there's a chemistry there.
This morning, Nikki's laying in bed and I'm looking at her and she's looking at me and we did this thing with our eyes. And we're both doing a fucking full heightening game with our eyes for like 4 minutes. But like we both were doing it, and I watched Nikki fucking chuckling her ass off in bed.
We think the same things are funny.
We just think the same things are funny, yeah.
Okay,
and we heighten things the same way, and
there's
we have the same stupid brain.
Exactly. Someone that you would want to hang out with.
Yes.
because you're gonna be hanging out with this person. I was actually I was reading this Twitter thread of a bunch of charts of how you spend your time, your like where your time goes over time, and it's like the first like 15 years of your life, a lot of it's centered on your parents, like you're spending a lot more time with family, and then it drops off a lot in your 20s. And then friendships, it like peaks in your 20s, but then it drops off firmly in your 30s. And then with your spouse, it goes up in your 30s and just kind of stays there. Like so your spouse is the person that you are going to spend most of your life with, like your time in your life, like not just your life, but the time of it during your lifespan. Like that's the person. So if you're going to spend all this time, you gotta like hanging out with them. There's so many couples, I'm like, they can't wait to get away from each other. And it's crazy to me because it's like,
they get couples vacations away from each other.
I'm not judging, but I'm just like, why would you enter a legal contract with someone that makes you miserable? Okay, so there's that. Then the core values. I think our core values were always the same, no matter what. 100%. At the end of the day, even if I fucking hated your face, like we had the same core values of how we viewed life, how we thought life should be. We were both really big on loyalty.
The biggest. It's like our number one
betrayal is like the biggest sin you could ever do. If in fact, I think a lot of like some of our fights like were a miscommunication or a misunderstanding.
You should have had my back
felt
about
betrayed.
This.
Yeah, we felt betrayed was the core, and we could both relate to that. So there's that. And then I would say the one thing that like if all of those are there, then you just need to work on conflict resolution. And if you're already at a breaking point anyway, where you're like, I don't know which way to go, like, should we break up or stay together? All these things seem like they're a match, but then we just fight all the time. So if all of these things are there, all these components, all these like ingredients to the cake, but you just can't make the fucking cake and just the cake keeps coming out flat. Like, I think that if people could just really work on their conflict resolution and communication skills. And we talk about like developing a language. It's going to be different for every couple. So like we can't just tell you our language and then it's like a fix. But one, like you got to be willing to, your partner and you both have to be like, we both want to work on this. Not just like one's got their foot out the door and like you're the one trying to hang on to them. You both got to work on. Maybe it's a right person, wrong timing thing if that's the case, but you both got to want to work on it, right? And I think we did. We both wanted the relationship to keep going, and it was after you broke up with me, like, but for like 2 minutes.
Well, I dumped your bitch ass for 2 minutes.
Yeah, for 2 minutes, and then I broke a coffee table. He was like, "Oh shit, I love you." Actually,
you broke my favorite coffee table.
Yeah. You just gotta break their coffee table. That was number 4.
Yeah.
Is
break the coffee table.
Break their coffee table
and see if it lasts.
And see what happens. Yeah, see how they react.
Just see what happens. Question marks. 3 question marks after.
This is why we're like really qualified to give advice. Like we're professionals on every level.
She shattered my coffee table.
Well, you shattered my heart. So it was an eye for an eye.
And it was an even trade.
Yeah. I mean, coffee table, my heart.
Coffee table's life for your heart.
Yeah.
Yep. No, it was one of those things where, I mean, you know, to zoom out a little bit, right? Like, I just loved you. And to me, the intensity that I loved you at was so crazy for me, especially going from 0 to 100 like we did, that I was really curious as to how this was going to work out. Yeah. Because I was so certain from the night that we made love on. Yeah. I mean, frankly, from our first date.
Yeah, from our first date.
First date, definitely.
Well, the first date, I texted my friend. She was like, how's it going? And I was like, do you want chicken or steak at the wedding?
Yeah.
Little did I know I would give up meat by the time we got married, but...
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But I just knew I was going to marry you from that night. Yeah. It was like the spookiest, weirdest thing. But,
no, it really was.
But we're both gut people. And like it was really like just a gut feeling like, I'm going to marry her. I don't know how. Yeah,
and that's why it was so confusing.
But then even tonight, right? You mentioned something. You're like, oh, I want to show you this photo of me and Franklin from 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, 11 years ago.
11 years ago or whatever. And then like, you know, like it's weird. I already knew you were gonna do that.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. There's like something, I don't know. There's something about you and me where I had a dream about that last night.
Weird.
Yeah, it's like weird. It's just weird. Like I don't know. Me and Nikki just click on such a way that it's
like an ethereal level.
Yeah, it's just like a no-brainer. Like I had a dream too recently about you and me having a daughter. And like it was like it was, you know how I always know I'm dreaming?
Yeah.
Because I'm a lucid dreamer or whatever.
Yeah.
So I always know I'm dreaming. But this dream wasn't like, it was weird. It was like, it wasn't like the dream knew that I know I'm dreaming, but it was there to like show me a painting of something. And like we had a daughter and she's the most precious thing I'd ever seen. And it was like the most heart-meltingly thing, like heart-melty thing ever. But then like it was like crazy because like you and me and like in our current timeline, we're both like, fuck kids.
We're both like, we're getting so annoyed with kids lately.
Yeah, and like we had, you know, we've had friends over lately. And
like I love kids.
We love kids.
But lately it's just been like the toddler phase of kids for our friends, and they're
family.
Really loud, and I just cannot handle the noise, like how loud they are.
I told my sister, I'm like,
it's really loud.
I'm like, my nephew Cody, I'm like, he could be an X-Man. You could rob a bank with this kid because he fucking has a banshee scream.
Banshee scream. I'm just like, why are they so loud?
And I'm so glad I'm his uncle and not his father.
Yeah, same. I'm like, okay, I could deal with this for like a day, but I'm like, it's only because I know that there's like a light at the end of the tunnel where they leave after.
Yeah.
So
and Archie, our boy, he's our godson. We love
adorable
Archie.
As hell.
Love him.
But
Archie, if you're watching this even 20 years from now, we love you. But you had so much energy. Where the fuck does it come from?
I'm too old for this shit.
Just chill the fuck out a little bit, Archie.
Yeah.
Archie, just sit with the phone like other kids do and just watch a stupid show.
Just like be like zombied out, you know? Like,
watch a stupid show.
Oh my goodness.
You can't.
They're crazy. So we're like, how would we even have a kid?
So but that's what I mean, right? So like, you know, we're just connected on such a level that like even that dream I was having, I normally lucid dream. This dream was like, hey, here's an example of what could happen. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dreams, you are so profound.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like dreams, you are like, I thought you were profound before, but now it's like on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So
I could deal with it with some earplugs, maybe.
We both know it'll be on me. We both know it'll be on me.
Yeah.
Just like breakfast. Just like, you know, if
you gotta win a WSOP bracelet first.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah. Okay, but so back to what I was saying about the conflict resolution. Well, okay, so first of all,
yes.
If we wrote in that first year,
yes,
I would say, don't break up yet. We always do this, like, here's what you should confront your partner with. Here's what you
how
should
your conflict resolution can pan out. Exactly.
And see what, like, if they're open to this.
Exactly.
And if they are, I think you have a shot.
Yes.
But if not, then you have your answer.
And by the way, folks, when you disagree with each other, that could be maybe the best time to really sort out your differences. Almost like, you know, in satire, right? My favorite form of comedy, using an extreme example to form a point, right? To really stick the audience with the point is, in my opinion, super effective. Like one of my favorite videos I ever did was I got a homeless guy, right? Mm-hmm. And off the street. And the first thing I said to him, I was like, hey, bro, I'm going to pay you like, you know, 100 whatever bucks. Just come with me for a couple hours. And I was like, I just want you to know the joke is not on you. The joke is on the people who do this kind of shit. Mm-hmm. And then when I explained to him, like those videos, he already knew. He had a cell phone.
Yeah.
He's like, I know about this. He's like, oh, I'm so down. He's like, I'm so down. Right.
Yeah.
He was really stoked. He was like our age and he was just really down. And he was, you know, he was the type of guy who, you know, I don't know how to say this in the most respectful way, but he's almost like a homeless entrepreneur.
He's like a professional homeless.
Yeah, he's like, I come on here, I fly a sign, I can usually get like $300 in like a day and a half. And he's like, and that pays for the XYZ, and then I have a phone and all this stuff. But he knew exactly what he was doing. He was very...
He had a budget.
He had a system.
Yeah.
He had a system. And so, yeah, I did this video where, you know, I basically get this homeless guy and I'm like, hey, man, like, I want to give you a little bit of money right now, and like, hey, look at that camera right there, and aren't I a really good person? And then he's like, yeah, you're a great person. And that's the whole video, and then heightens and heightens
balloons
and
cake
I get the balloons
with your face on it.
Yeah, I give him a cake with my face on it. I take him to dinner, and I'm like, I paid for it. I'm the fucking man, aren't I? And then we go into a hotel room that I'm like, this is your hotel for the night, and like. And there's in the hotel, there's so many balloons, it's insane. He can't even pull the covers off of his own bed because there's so many balloons on it, and he's like troubled by that. And then there's a song there's like a person did a song. It's like Steve Green's the fucking man, and like there's a banner that says Steve Green's the fucking man. And like, you know what the comments were on that video? You made it about you. Don't you love it? Stark examples underline great points. And so when you have an argument with your partner over something crazy, and let's say it's something like wild, right? It's like Nikki is basically like, I am against threesomes, and I'm like, I'm for threesomes. Something just nuts, where you can now open up the conversation to how you're going to resolve this conflict, because it's like something so starkly different. Like, you want threesomes and I don't, or I want threesomes and you don't. Like, we're going to be able to really figure out our problems here. Because it's such a difference of opinion, and it's so stark that like, if we don't agree or if we can't figure this out, like there's going to be real problems.
Well, then I think that's kind of a breakup level, because it's
but what's it for, right? Like what's behind the argument? Like you and me, the whole time we've been together, we always find out what's really going on behind it.
I'm gonna get to the actual conflict resolution part and how we dismantle. Yeah. During arguments, but
I'm just saying, like, out there, if you have extreme examples, sometimes that can actually be a gift. Like not necessarily, like, don't look at it as like, oh, that could be deal breakers. Sometimes it could be a gift if you can get to the resolution part. That's all I mean.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So what I was gonna say though was that so before all of that, I think that you have to clear out the resentment part.
Absolutely.
But I want to get to the conflict resolution part, because I think you're jumping ahead here. Like, you're jumping like 5 steps ahead.
True.
Okay, so I'm just putting, if someone's in this position right now where because I feel like a lot of the people that write in are in this position where there's like, I've been in this relationship 6 months to a year. So they like, it's kind of, it's serious enough to be serious, but it's short enough that I can get out right now if like you don't think it's going to work, Yeah. And here's what I would say if you think that, like, these are signs that I think that you should stay together and try to resolve it, but here is how. And we will get into it right after the break. Please say hello to our sponsors, tell them we sent you, buy whatever we tell you to buy, and check out our Patreon, patreon.com/sticky, STIKKI. We do Crypto Corner once a week. Steve goes in depth with all of your crypto questions. We do a live stream once a month, and you get these episodes a few days early. So, and most of all, it supports the show.
Yeah, it supports the show, and you get to be involved.
It like helps Mark.
It helps Mark, and you get to be part of our illustrious
Discord community.
And they are the best. We love them.
They're the best.
So yeah.
Right after the break.
BRB.
This episode is sponsored by Rocket Money.
Hey, Nikki.
Oh, you wanted me to respond?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember when you had a newspaper subscription for like 4 years?
Yes, I didn't know.
And we didn't know, and we were paying like $30 a month for
it? $40 a month. $40 a month. I had never even read this one time in like 3 years.
Thanks to Rocket Money, we now know about that, and we're able to easily cancel it.
I could not believe that.
Yeah.
Do you know how much your subscriptions cost? Because most Americans think they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions, where the actual total is closer to $200 a month that you don't even use these subscriptions. Oh, we're so easily manipulated into
gullible.
These business models. Well, Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place.
80% of people out there, and 10 of them, like in your own circle, have subscriptions they completely forgot about. Like, you got a streaming service, right? Because you just wanted to watch one show.
Well, yeah, I just got HBO Max again because Last of Us.
Exactly. And then you finish the show, and then you don't even need it anymore.
I never watched a show for like 2 years.
Yep. Rocket Money can easily and quickly identify those subscriptions for you, and you can just stop paying for the ones you don't want.
Yeah, my favorite part too is that you just press cancel. Like, it shows you which ones, and then you just press cancel. Because a lot of these you have to go on a adventure to go cancel it. Like you have to call a customer service number, and then they're gonna ask you why you want to cancel. Well, what if we gave you a discount instead? And then you gotta deal with that noise. No, with Rocket Money, you just hit cancel and they do it.
I was trying to cancel this one, same thing, where the website kept going down if you wanted to cancel. It was hilarious.
So convenient.
Stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/STDTY.
That's rocketmoney.com/STDTY.
rocketmoney.com/STDTY. Please use the code. It helps the show a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, welcome back. So you've decided to not break up, and this is what you're going to go do with your partner now, to see if it's something that's worth continuing and building and salvaging, and whether or not you might be able to construct a healthy, harmonious relationship together. And no, I don't think that when they say relationships are work, I don't think it means that it's a headache for the rest of your life. I think that it means
it's not that.
You dig through these tough moments to create solutions that then make everything easier afterwards.
It shouldn't be tedious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I would do, and after having gone through this, where it's like, I love this person, but I don't know why we're not like working out, right? Oh yeah, I never got to you have to have chemistry and you have to have compatibility. So the compatibility part was like the best friend part. Like, sorry, I missed that point. But like compatibility and chemistry combined, can't just have one without the other. Has to be both. And then you're like, okay, this might work. Okay, so then you go to your significant other and you are like, hey, I love you. I want this to work. I don't know what we're missing, right? And you have a long talk about everything that you resent them for and allow them to apologize for it. And then you now have to decide whether you can truly forgive them. And when I say forgive, it means you'd never bring that up again because it's resolved. You believe that they are sorry for it and you accept their apology. And this is the time where we did the arrows exercise.
The famous arrows thing.
The famous arrows exercise,
yes,
that Steve made up on the spot, but it really did work, I think.
Let shit go.
Like, because you can consciously do something, but if it's still in your subconscious, it doesn't really get released. And so I think this exercise just really helped the subconscious also release it. Go. So after you say what you're resentful for, they can ask questions about it. Maybe they want to defend their side or whatever. Good. That's fine. Like,
and if they can't do the arrows, that's fine too.
Yeah.
It's just about when can they get there.
You take the arrow out of where it wounded you, and then you
physically
break it over your knee. And
it's done.
It's done. It never gets brought up again. And honestly, I don't even remember a lot of the stuff that we brought up that day.
Well, it was mostly like me cheating on you. And you broke it all over your knee.
Yeah, now it's done. No, but seriously, I actually just talked to a neighbor about this where it's like, if you ever cheated on me, if I cheated on you, it's over. Like, it's done. It would break my heart forever, but like I just can't, I could never trust you again.
100%.
But for some people, they can forgive cheating and that's okay. But you can never bring it up again. You can never be like, well, you cheated on me, so blah, blah, blah. Like, if you're choosing to get back with this person and accept them and their apology, like, you have to clean slate it. It has to be clean slate. So then the other person does the same, where like he then went over everything that he like had been secretly. A lot of the stuff I had no idea that he was secretly harboring. Like, some of this stuff actually extended to before we were even together. Do you remember this? I remember you brought up a conversation we had at VidCon where I gave you a critique on one of your videos. Yeah. And you didn't like it.
That sounds like me.
So you held on to that.
I do that.
This was a year before we even got together. Like a year and a half, I think, before.
Welcome to the inside of my mind.
I had no idea. Yeah, I would never have guessed that
I am a holder honor, and I don't forget.
I didn't even think he was pissed off in that moment when
people mostly don't know.
So I said, like, I thought we were kind of like shooting the shit about like comedy structure, right? Yep. And I said that he hit this note too many times. Like, I thought that he could have heightened it. He just hit the same note a lot, and he really
Never forgot.
fucking hated that critique. And so later when we were fighting, like in a peak thing, he
used it against you.
Yeah, but without telling me that was where it came from, but just like he didn't respect me at all. And so I don't even know if he knew that was why ultimately, like deep down, until he brought that up.
Maybe one of the reasons why I've wanted anything in life, honest to God, is this thing that I have about revenge that people don't even fucking know, right? They don't even know they pissed me off, but they did.
Yeah.
And then I build it into like Mount Everest, and I have to climb that thing with two fucking ice picks, but I do. And then by the time I'm up on the top and I'm yelling at them about how I did it, they don't even know that they built Mount Everest for me. Like, but it's happened to me my whole life. It's just how I do things, I guess.
Which is fine as long as it's not the person you're trying to spend the rest of your life with and
that's fair.
Build respect
And
for
that's very
and
fair.
Have a nice relationship
and we
with.
work things out.
Yeah. So yeah, this was the beginning of me figuring out that, I mean, he does this with other people and I knew about it, but I didn't know he had a secret against me. That he had been building. And so he brings this up and I apologize. And it's like he had never heard an apology in his life before.
I don't think like that.
Yeah.
I don't think like that. I see it as me versus you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until, I mean,
I'm not proud of it, by the way.
Yeah.
This isn't something I'm proud of.
Yeah.
This is just how I do stuff.
I mean,
I was a kid. Look,
we recently had a stupid thing over Mario Kart that this happened with, and I like immediately called it out, and then he immediately apologized for it, and then we laughed and we had a drink. It was just.
She just knows me. I mean, look.
Yeah.
I was a kid who was bullied.
Yeah.
And I think that this is my way of dealing with bullying.
Yeah.
Where and that, like I said, stark examples, right? So like I was getting bullied, so it's a very stark example. It's like somebody calling you names and like literally shoving you, telling you can't sit with them at basketball games, even though you're on the basketball team, which you worked your ass off to get on the basketball team.
Yeah.
Like everyone said you couldn't get on the basketball team, and that's what made you get on the basketball team.
Right.
And that's what made you drive after basketball practice to the park to go shoot basketballs with your mom sitting in the parking lot for 2.5 hours because you wanted to prove to everybody that you belonged on the basketball team, even though you're already on the basketball team.
I get that.
That's how I grew up, right? So then again, stark examples to underline points. That helps me, right? But then you take that same energy into just like little things that people give you, and it's kind of ridiculous. Yeah. And I know how ridiculous it is. I really do. I've evolved a little bit and grown
Especially
a little bit.
when they're not trying to bully you.
They're not.
Yeah.
Dude. I had a buddy, we have a group of people that we're all friends with. And one day he was calling on me about crypto stuff. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. And he did this in public. And I said, okay, cool. I'll never forget that you did this, ever. I'll never forget it. And I reminded myself that he did this every morning that I woke up. Every single morning that I woke up, I reminded myself that he did this. And, last run when I hit the $1 million mark, he was the first person that I texted. I did it live on Crypto Corner, actually, just to let him know. And he had no idea. It was something I thought about every morning when I woke up, and he had no idea.
I wouldn't say that's the healthiest thing.
It's just how I do.
It's just what you do.
It's how I do. And I'm not saying it is.
I was also bullied, and my way of coping was to detach from everyone.
Yeah.
And like, well, I don't need you then. I don't need you in my life. I'm happy alone. I'm actually really happy alone, and I truly am. I'm truly happy with the activities that I do. I could keep myself occupied for hours. I just felt like you enhanced my happiness, and now you don't, so you're gone. Bye. Like, and so fair. I told you that's like, hey, I'm detaching from you, like
you did,
so that you have an opportunity to
save the day,
to save it. But like, if it continues, like I'm just gonna detach. Like, I just, once you're dead to me, you're dead to me.
The thing is that you hadn't detached from me. Actually,
no, I hadn't.
You were telling me that you were thinking of that as like a process.
Well, like I feel myself doing that, like. Cause,
as a reflex.
Yeah. Like I think of all the things that I dislike about you, and then I'm disgusted by you, and then I can't even get back the like for you, even if I tried. Yeah. But I recognized that I was beginning to do this, and I communicated it so that, and you were like, this means enough to me to want to save it, so
not just enough to me. You're my number one thing.
Yeah,
like you're my number one priority, and I made sure that you knew after that.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, this was a pivotal
day.
Yes.
So
I wasn't communicating that you were my number one
No.
effectively. And when I realized that, I nipped it in the bud. Right?
Yes.
That's I'm very good at that.
yeah.
You raise the problem and I'll nip it in the
Because
bud.
there were a couple things where like we both put each other as number one now.
Yeah.
But I always felt like I prioritized you as number one, and not that I'm giving up my life for you,
Hell
but
no.
that like
We don't
if
need
you
to.
needed me, or if I made you a promise that the promise I made to you is worth more to me than any other obligations that
Yeah.
I made. So I'm gonna choose you first, and I didn't feel like you were doing that back. And then it was like salt in the wound where you talked about how you used to do that for another girlfriend, but then you realized that you can't do that for people. So
I was
you-
young.
blah, blah.
I was 25.
Yeah, I know. So these were some of the things.
Yeah.
So we released a lot of these things, and I feel like didn't it feel like a weight was
Yes.
lifted? Like afterward, it just felt so
That's
light.
the arrows thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt really light. So that was amazing.
But
Now-
that's the thing. Voicing the trauma, removing the trauma.
yeah.
Right? And then you feel weightless after.
Because you can't rewire the mechanisms, the stuff until you
remove the resentment.
yeah, you gotta get all the gunk out
Yep.
first. You gotta clean
Yep.
it all out. You gotta unfuck everything, and then you can put back pieces in a very healthy way. That
And that's
maybe
why fucking JK crew, look at me, bitches. You're welcome for the arrow method, you fuckers.
yeah.
They all swear to God, oh, Steve and Nikki just live in a fairy tale land and shit. They love the arrow method.
Yeah.
They all love the arrow method, but that's the thing. Like you have to do it.
You have to be open to it.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't work for if you're like being silly about it, but like
No, it's and I say that out of love. It's just it's beautiful that everyone's gotten a lot out of it.
yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. I really love
Me
that.
too.
Yeah.
So we cleared the resentment out, and that doesn't mean that our relationship went to like fucking cherries and rainbows after that. It didn't. It was better because we removed all of that shit. Like it felt lighter and everything, but we still would get into like a heated argument here
Sure,
and there.
of course.
However, this time when it would come up, it wasn't something where we just held on to it and let it build. This time
It was new.
we both felt like we were on the same team.
Yes.
And so even when it was like emotions were there and it was heated, it wasn't at the partner. It wasn't at your like
It was at the argument.
it was at the frustration of the thing, and I always
Miscommunication.
made sure to verbalize, like to separate the two. Like I'm frustrated at the situation. Like this situation is what's making me really upset. And I think, then we would try to like solve the problem together. Like, here's why I did this, and here's why I'm reacting like this.
Yes.
And
we deconstructed things, and
Yeah.
we still do.
and we
This is
still
our
do.
Most
This
effective
is our
thing.
process.
Because me and Nikki wear the same jersey. We're both wearing green now, right? We're both the greens.
Yes.
We both are like wearing the same fucking jersey.
We just got really good at like doing it fast now. Like
Legit.
before, when we had our training wheels on at first, it would take maybe like a couple days to like kind of get through a
Yep.
lot of back and forth. Maybe we're stuck on the same issue for quite a few arguments.
Yep. And you're
you know?
wearing Nikki jersey, I'm wearing Steve jersey still. So I'm like, I still see you as not on my team. So I'm like trying to stick up for my team
Yeah.
instead of trying to solve the problem. Whereas once we got on the same team, we're in the same jersey.
Yeah.
We're both just like, oh, well, this is what's going on out there. Like, this is why we can't score. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not playing defense on here. Like, we got to get on this guy and fucking make sure that he can't shoot.
And then sometimes like you throw out a thing like, well, maybe if we try this tactic and we go that way, it's like, no, it wasn't that. Like, it probably wasn't that.
Yeah.
We go back to the drawing board and like,
Yeah.
okay, what if it was this?
But we would uncover it.
Yeah.
It's not that immediate, right? It's like,
Yeah.
one time we're on a podcast and we uncovered like a whole fucking litany of shit.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
that was great for us, though. It
was great.
That was like maybe
It was embarrassing in the moment.
It was so embarrassing
because it
at
was
the
in
moment.
front of someone else.
in front of one of our friends.
Yeah.
But then it was like, dude, this was like beautiful. Like this, I would say that was like probably our biggest, like as far as like stopgaps go, that was probably the last one.
Yeah.
And then we had like
definitely.
it was like Breakthrough City USA after that.
Yeah, and that was what, like 6 years in,
Yeah.
5 years
Yeah,
in,
it was like 4 years ago.
something like that. Yeah,
But that was something too that we didn't even know. Like
Yeah.
genuinely, like her to me or me to her, we didn't sit there and know that was something that was bothering us. But it was like one of the last little screws that we hadn't like unscrewed, and it was just completely unaware to me. And so, like, actually, if you watch this footage, which never was released, but if you actually watch the footage of it, you would see me looking bewildered because I don't know what the fuck's going on. And then Nikki is like explaining, like pouring her heart out about what's going on, and I'm so confused. And, and like that was like the first night of like I think the next 2 days of me and you just figuring out this last little thing that we actually got so much out of. I'm so glad that happened.
Yeah, I mean and since then it's so funny because we've argued in front of our friends before, family before, but it's like there's emotion involved, but we get through it so fucking fast, and they're like, "Wait, you guys are done?" Like, we worked it out.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. No, it's so funny.
It's really funny.
But we earned it.
And I actually think that if we did have kids, I'd want them to see that because I think it's a really healthy way to resolve things and quickly, and you could see why, and you could see the mechanisms. It's not a hidden behind closed doors thing. I think a lot of the reasons we're not taught this is because it's so hidden. You know, your parents don't want to fight in front of you. Okay, obviously, or if they did, it was really bad. It was like traumatizing almost.
I could hear it anyway, Dad.
Yeah, but they didn't do a healthy conflict resolution in front of you, so you weren't taught that. Exactly. You never saw what it looked like to resolve things in a healthy way.
And honestly, one of my biggest rules too with Nikki, once we first got together, I said, let's never ever involve our parents.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be there for when we solve this stuff. And so they're going to hold on to the argument and not the resolution.
Yeah.
And we never did that. And thank God, because our parents, like, one of my favorite things about you is how much you love my family.
The only time I ever asked my mom about anything we fought about was more just to see if I really fucked up when I was crazy or not.
I know what you're talking about. You want to talk about it?
We talked about it before on one of the episodes, but it was when I kissed my girlfriend, but in front of everybody at my party. It was
in front of me. You were sitting in my lap.
It was like a drunk, we just thought, because I was in my young 20s, and it was always like we would go to Playboy Mansion parties and stuff, and it was always just like, we're drunk, let's make out, but it wasn't sexual. Did not have any sexual feelings at all. Zero. Never. Just thought it was like crazy. We're crazy. We're drunk. We're blah, blah, let's do something crazy. And people. It was kind of normal for people to be like, oh, they're crazy, and then whatever. Maybe it's an attention thing. I don't know. For her, I think it was. But for me, I was just like, all right, my friend does this when she's drunk, whatever. And Steve got really hurt by that, by me kissing someone else. And understandably so. It didn't even cross my mind that he would ever be hurt by that. And so that was the only time I asked my mom, is this crazy? Am I bad? Is that am I just so oblivious that this is obvious cheating? And I just did. I mean, I would have never done that. I didn't even think about it. And she laughed. And she asked my dad, and my dad laughed too.
I'm glad.
And so I was like, you know what? Even though, it made me feel good to not feel like a cheater.
Yes.
But I still respected your position or your feelings
and
about it.
And your family did too, and I appreciate that too.
Yeah, and they did too.
Even though they laughed, and I honestly, you guys know me, I can appreciate a good laugh anytime, even at myself. Obviously, at myself the most. Please laugh at me.
Literally on the last episode, or maybe it was this one, you talked about me crying in a closet. It's funny.
Exactly.
Even though my feelings are valid. Okay, my feelings are valid, but the way I dealt with it is funny. It's funny.
No, and honestly, that was funny, and I love your family. I love that they're open and honest like that.
Yeah.
And sometimes I am being very silly. And I was being a little bit dramatic here. Mm-hmm. But I think it was just about the greater thing of it's a very stupid thing. But
it's not.
Your lips are my lips.
Yeah.
And my lips
once
are your
you
lips.
explained it that way.
And that was it.
I was like, that's actually really sweet.
That was it. I just love you, and I just want those to be mine, and that's it.
I agreed with that. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I respect that. When you put it that way, and you were vulnerable about it.
Yeah, that's the thing is it's a vulnerable thing to admit.
I was like
that I love you that much.
I was like, that was really sweet.
But then some people say, "Oh, he's using love to manipulate her. She just wants to make out with chicks, and that's awesome." You know what I mean? I get that. I get it. I really do.
I just want to squeeze. We just want to squeeze each other's boobies and.
Nah, you weren't. Can
we squeeze each other's boobies?
You weren't even doing that. Shut the fuck up.
No, I was trying to. They're the audience out there. They're like,
yeah, no. It was
if my wife wanted to make out with women,
sloppy whores making out with each other. Like that's a
No,
fact.
then we would have titty grabbed for sure if we were
No,
sloppy
but I'm
whores.
saying sloppy whores.
Whores.
Yeah.
Whores light.
Yeah. But
We were whores light.
sloppy whores holding drinks. They can't grab titties because they're holding too many drinks.
Too many drinks. Yeah. A lot of jello shots.
Yeah.
Happened
no,
that night.
And there, again, I was being dramatic. I was definitely just trying to voice something, but ineffectively.
Yeah.
Trying to tell you what I really
And that's
wanted.
okay. I mean, I'm not. It's not a smooth process in the beginning.
exactly.
I think, and so then that's. I think the final evolution was we really got good at streamlining our language. Like
it's
when we
insane.
communicate now about
It's insane.
something that we're arguing about, it's like so quick, so smooth.
Yeah.
The other person gets it immediately.
It's faster than our ad breaks.
Yeah,
It's like insane.
It's really, really fast. But
Yeah.
in the beginning, it's a process of, and really, it's like, okay, let me hear my partner. What are they saying? What are they feeling like? And it's a complete.
Do they mean that, or do they mean
it's a
something
complete trust
Yeah.
that if I open up to you about my whole heart, my whole feelings, that you're not gonna spit on it. Like you're gonna listen to it and
Have my
really
back.
take it in. Yeah, and have my back. Because
the biggest thing.
that's another thing with other bad toxic relationships or unhealthy. You get used to not voicing it because you don't want them to use it against you as a weapon.
Yes.
Like and call it, because people
Too often.
I'm very emotional. Like when I'm having emotions, whether I'm happy, sad, angry, mad, frustrated, like whatever the whole spectrum of emotions, it comes out as crying for me. Like it just comes out as crying. I'm like, when I'm really happy and looking at a beautiful sunset, I'm crying. When I'm really sad and in the pits of depression, I'm crying. And when I'm angry at things, I'm crying. And so I can't help it. If I have an overflow of emotions in any direction, it's just I'm crying.
mother's the same
but
way.
I'm still talking and speaking logically and clearly. However, previous partners would take the emotion and just immediately use that as a weapon against me. And it was the most frustrating, most gaslighting thing I've ever experienced. So I got really good at just hiding when I felt any emotions, just like not sharing them and like being open about them because I didn't want to be called crazy or that my emotions were making me crazy or thinking wrong or whatever.
Growing up, my mother dealt with this anytime she was in a debate with somebody or getting yelled at by credit card people on the phone or whatever the fuck, right? Like anytime there's a heated argument, she doesn't mean to cry.
Yeah.
But she has to cry it out.
And then you're mad at yourself for you're frustrated
and that's it.
because you're
She's
crying.
so mad at herself.
So then you're crying more because you're frustrated.
And then your debate opponent is just reveling in it, fucking
Yes.
like an elephant in water, fucking on their own heads, like constantly, just like, you can't handle the argument, I guess.
because
And it's
for some reason in this world of reality, like you can't have logic and emotion at the same time, I guess.
So I was raised with the opposite, right? So I was raised with knowing that those are two things that are codependent, actually, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like emotions and logic go together because that is how you voice your logic is through your emotions sometimes, like especially during a heated moment. But that's, and my mom was the most frustrated person, but you are my mom in many ways.
Yeah.
And
I'm so glad that you had that experience.
I am too.
With,
And I really am. And my older sister too. I'm really, my hot sister, Jen.
yeah.
I'm very appreciative
Who
of
wouldn't
her.
be on the show. We wanted to have her on the show
She broke all the
for
cameras.
the thumbnail.
Exactly.
Wanted to,
She was on the show, but she broke all the fucking
Yeah,
cameras.
yeah. We had to buy new cameras.
$7,000 on cameras. So, I'm really glad that I was raised by my sister and my mom and my dad too. The old man, he had an interesting way of communicating during when I was young, but it definitely didn't let me mince words, right? Like when it came time for me to speak my piece, I had to know what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I had to be in and out, right? Like, I'm pretty good at that, like getting in and out of a point. I could tell a story. I could tell a 20-minute story in 2 minutes, or I could give you the 20-minute version if you like, or I could give you the 12-minute version if you like. Like I just have learned how to get in and out of things quickly, like through like experiences like I had growing up, right? But then, my mother is like the strongest woman I have ever known. But she doesn't see herself that way, and it's very similar
It's because
to you.
the world tells you that emotions equal weakness. And then you're just told that, so then you start believing it when it's not actually true.
Yes.
And your emotions are actually a guidepost, and I think that people who are really like in tune with their emotions, that like it's really big intuition people, like it really helps your intuition. I can read people very quickly, very easily. Even the slightest change in someone's emotions, I pick up on it super quickly.
Yes, you do.
Because of how like sensitive, like, and when I say sensitive, not like I'm sensitive at like any little thing will set me off, more like I'm just very sensitive to the change in energies of anything, whether it's from happy to sad or from angry to mad, or like someone's slight adjustment of emotion.
And as a people pleaser, you're hypersensitive to that because you want people to be comfortable around you.
Yeah, I don't know which came first, like, because I'm like, this makes me uncomfortable that they just shifted emotions, so maybe I need to change it in some way. I don't know which came first, but going back to the argument stuff, it's being able to be vulnerable and express it to your partner and trust that they are going to take you seriously, and they're going to hear your feelings. And then the person, if they hurt your feelings, they say sorry, and sorry does not mean that you're wrong. It just means, hey, sorry I hurt you because I didn't mean to, because you obviously didn't mean to hurt your partner. And then you say sorry, and then they're like, okay, well, thank you. And then you work on the problem together, because a lot of times it's hard to work on the problem when the other person doesn't feel heard yet. So your partner hearing you and validating your feelings, and then being like, okay, I'm sorry, let's work on it now. That's like step one. Then you both get to work on the problem, and they're more receptive to hearing your side because you just heard their side, and it just becomes super easy to want to work on it together.
And our relationship went to the next level when we wore the same jersey, right? We're on the same team, and we attack problems from that angle. Yeah. It's like, well, okay, well.
Because when he wins, when you and I win.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why would I tear down someone that my teammate?
Exactly. Like as teammates, let's find out what's going on out there. Yeah. So we can fix it. And not like it's you versus me at all times, which is what couples do. And it's such a huge mistake. It's what really fucks things up a lot. And builds resentment and keeps resentment. And then people keep on pouring more layers of concrete on top of the resentment.
Well, and they do things like, well, let's get married. That'll fix it.
God, I know.
Because like once we get married,
maybe if we have a kid, that'll fix it.
The baby will fix it.
Let's heighten. Yeah. Let's buy a house. That'll fix it. Let's have a baby. That'll fix it.
Yeah. Promise, like if I really feel like we're just sharing this because I don't think it's some shit they don't tell you for sure.
Correct.
That we had to figure out, and I think it would make everyone's relationship so much more streamlined if they just saw like how to resolve arguments in a healthy way, or resolve issues. And also it's a really good sign or big like red flag if you're not able to do this with the person, that you guys probably should break up. Like,
and if you can't jump outside yourself, right? If you're like, I'm too passionate, I'm too angry or whatever, give yourself a little bit of a break or whatever.
Yeah.
But then try to come back at the argument from their perspective. Like understanding their point of view is what will help you solve the problem. Because once you're in their head and they're in your head, and you're trying to solve this as partners and not as enemies, you really will find a lot of common ground, and you'll just start to break the arguments apart like in a way that you didn't do before. And that's all we want people to do. Yeah. Truly.
And even if you guys can't come to the resolution together, like sometimes you can come to a resolution without giving up your, like we can agree to disagree, right?
That's happened to us a couple times.
That's happened a couple times, but mostly we agree on everything. But sometimes it's like, hey, I don't agree, but I respect you, whatever. Right. Even if you can't get there, though, this will make your therapist's job so much easier if you guys decided to go to counseling eventually. Instead, we've never been to counseling, but if you did, you've already done like a lot of the work for them. I think like a lot of people go to counseling, they're like, well, it didn't work because the counselor took their side or whatever. Like I felt
I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
It's so embarrassing when I hear that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean you're their side? You're on your partner's side. Mm-hmm. You should be on their side. Like if they're juxtaposed against you, then you got to dig in and figure out why that's happening. Mm-hmm. That's it.
But if you do all this stuff first, it's so you don't feel like there's sides. You feel like, hey, we've done this much work, but we can't find the solution.
But guess what? Like you said, it's work. So you got to put the work in.
Yeah.
You have to.
And that's the work I think that people, when
people
you
say
hear,
marriage is work.
Yeah, marriage is work. Like, yeah, but it shouldn't be miserable.
No.
It shouldn't be miserable.
No.
It shouldn't be something where you get done with work and you dread going home.
God, no. It's not miserable. It's the best thing I've ever done.
You should be excited to go home and hang out with your partner.
I can't wait. I'm always excited to see her.
When I hear stories like that, it makes me sad, and I go, how could I help this person? Because I think everyone deserves to be happy. And, some people are going to stay miserable in relationships because it's sunken time cost, where they're just like, well, I already put 5 years in. I don't want to go back to being single. And I'm not here to try to help those people. But some people that genuinely are like, what can we do? How do I save this? I love this person, but it's just, it hurts. I think that these were things that really, really helped us. And if we had known in the beginning, it would have been even more, it would have been even quicker.
Same.
A lot of times, and recognizing that, like, what the actual issue was, like that you were projecting things from your past relationships and vice versa.
And having the balls to voice that.
Yeah. And even
that helped a lot.
Even like childhood things. Like I think a lot of inner child, like Steve was talking about being bullied, and like so then he developed a coping mechanism when he was in middle school, and he's now using it in his adulthood relationships.
I use it every day.
And maybe it still works in some facets of his life.
Very productive.
Productive, sure, but not
healthy always.
Not healthy in a relationship. No. So there are some things like that you can recognize that, like, coping mechanisms that you developed in childhood. But anyway, I thought that would, because of the majority of our relationship questions are, I love this person, but I don't know if it'll work. Should we break up? Try that. There's that. Yeah. There's all of that. I hope that this was helpful.
Yes.
It is some shit they don't tell you. Maybe one day you'll have the privilege of hearing us argue on a podcast.
Why not?
And we'll resolve it on the
in.
podcast. Actually, one of our first podcast episodes, like back in the very beginning, like the 5th episode or something like that.
I remember.
We had a big argument. There were guests there too.
Yeah.
And Mark, our producer, said that he thought we'd be together forever because
he turned
of the
to
way
my brother Nate, who was helping with the show at the time, and he said those two will be together forever because the way we solved
because of the way that we resolved the argument.
We resolved it in like 15 minutes.
And we actually fought a lot, like not fought a lot, but like had quite a few arguments
in the early days of the podcast.
Sure, yeah,
for sure. Well, it was a whole new way of communicating with each other.
Yeah.
So it was great.
And we figured it out.
It was productive. It was great.
It was productive.
You learn, bitches. Like, God forbid you do that. But no, there is something I want to close with too.
Yeah.
There is something that has been out there on the internet that I started obviously because I was talking about how, like, I put a lot of undue pressure on you to come when we were fucking.
Uh-huh.
And it was like this game that I was playing with you, like almost like, like a fucking, I don't know, what do you call it? Like I like, hey, I control you. Like I'm gonna fucking fuck you.
Like you're the man. Like it's an ego thing.
Ego thing, but like, yeah, it was like a game thing. But then I would be like, hey, come for me right now, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And like you would just tell me,
just fake it.
I did.
Yeah. Because then I could relax and like actually enjoy the experience.
Exactly. But people truly believe that I don't make you come when we're fucking.
No.
But I'm like, okay, let me just clarify this point because like it's so like I was trying to be open about something and like help people like in their own lives and like don't put undue pressure on yourselves and shit like that.
Yeah.
But then people go like, Steve's not even making this bitch come, like what? And I'm like, dude, that's not what the fuck's going on. It's just that I was doing this stupid fucking.
So you want me to clear your good name?
No. I want to say this out loud because but just for clarity purposes, it's not even about me, honestly.
Yeah.
It's about like this entire thing, like especially like as we talk about sex stuff.
Yeah.
Like I was putting undue pressure on you.
Yeah.
That's what that was about. And I was trying to call myself out for that. You don't call yourself out and say, oh, I wasn't making this bitch come. I can't make her come.
Yeah.
Who does that?
No.
No, I was just trying to say like, yeah, I made this, I was trying to do this like game almost. And it was putting undue pressure on you and it was ruining the experience.
Right.
And then like I got rid of that and now it's all Gucci. But like some people are like, yo, this guy can't make this bitch come.
Well, they're stupid and they see the whole point.
No, I know, but I just wanted to underline the point again.
Yeah.
With stark examples to make sure that people know. Because some people can't communicate sexually, same thing. And then they think, you know, they'll think that the result of that is, oh, well, you know, it's because of this, but it's not because of that. It's a whole different argument. It has nothing to do with what the fuck you're talking about. But
yeah, there's a different issue.
different issue.
Yeah, sometimes you think it's this, but there's an underlying issue.
And you talk it out and you figure out what the fuck's going on. But that's the point of communication, right? Like sexual, relationship, right? Like all of it, it's all just a part of the whole fucking taco of like, you put all these ingredients together and that's how you get a taco.
Yeah. Now I want tacos.
We should order tacos.
We should order tacos.
Okay.
I hope everybody
delighted.
orders
Let's get some
tacos
tacos
tonight. We're gonna go get some tacos, guys.
Yeah, we hope you do
it
too.
was good talking about this.
What does that mean? I don't get it.
Taco.
What does that mean?
Talking
about it? Yeah, it was good talking about it.
Taco to you later. Did you get that one?
No, what are you doing?
All right, I gotta explain some stuff to Steve, but we'll see you guys next week. Oh, it's okay, baby. I'll explain it. It's okay. I love you. We'll talk to you later. Tune in next week. It's okay. It was a pun. It's the pun.
Do you want to come? You want to come get some tacos?
No.
You can't because you can't.
Mark, just cut this out.
She physically can't. It's not my problem. It's a medical problem.